All right, let's dive in. We're tackling list building today, but not just the surface stuff. We're going deep thanks to these list building mastery webinars. They completely shifted how I think about building an audience.
It's more than just grabbing emails, right? It's about growing a real community, one that truly cares about what you offer.
Right on. In these webinars, they dig into the psychology behind it all. The subconscious stuff, the emotional hooks, all the things most people miss.
Exactly. It's about going way beyond those basic tips.
Yeah, and one thing that really hit me was it's not just about how big your list is.
Yeah.
Bigger isn't always better. The webinars even compared it to companies like Skype and Amazon.
Interesting.
Their value isn't just the tech. It's the massive user base they've built.
That's a really interesting comparison. It shows how important your audience is. Even a smaller list, like 10,000 really engaged subscribers, can be more valuable than 1 million who aren't really interested.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
A room full of excited people is way better than a stadium full of people who don't care.
Why is that smaller, engaged list so much more valuable, though?
Well, think about it. A smaller engaged list means higher open rates, more clicks, and more people actually buying what you offer. Plus, low engagement can hurt you.
How so?
It can hurt your email reputation, make you waste resources, and honestly, it's just discouraging when you put effort into something and it's like no one cares.
Yeah, I feel that. And this is where it gets really interesting, right?
Right.
The webinars talk about this invisible force, basically the subconscious stuff that makes people decide to do things. If you can tap into that, you can attract the right people, the people who actually want what you offer.
It's about the psychology of why people do things. And the webinars pointed out this difference between surface desires and core desires.
Okay, I'm listening.
Someone might say they want to make $5,000 a month, but the core desire behind that could be something much deeper.
Like what?
Like feeling financially secure or free or in control of their life. I see. So how do we use this core desire idea when we're selling a product?
Think about someone buying a fancy sports car. They're not really buying the car itself, are they?
Yeah, it's more than that.
It's about the feeling they get from it, the status, the success.
Like, hey, look at me, I made it.
Exactly. And when you're building your list, your message needs to hit both levels, the practical, what they get, and the emotional, how it makes them feel.
I get it. And this works for any product or service, right? People buy results, not just features.
Exactly. Like, think about a drill.
Yeah.
People aren't buying the drill itself. They're buying the holes it makes and the things those holes let them do.
Like hanging pictures, building shelves. It's about the outcome.
Exactly. The transformation.
Okay, so I totally get that quality matters more than quantity for an audience. But how do we actually build that high-quality list?
The webinars had this really interesting take on traffic. They said the best traffic usually comes from your existing community. They called it your personal well of fresh water.
So people who already know, like, and trust you.
Exactly. It's built on familiarity. Of course, partnerships, ads, and other things can help, but
But they're not as good.
you have to be careful to target the right people. You don't want just anyone on your list. You want the people who will truly connect with what you offer, the ones who are most likely to become part of your community.
Okay, so we've got the right people come into our site. But how do we actually get them to sign up? The webinars kept talking about hooks.
Right, the hooks, they're so important. Think of them as the thing that makes people say, okay, I got to get on this list.
Like lead magnets.
Yeah, things like ebooks or checklists or mini courses, or even just access to some exclusive content.
And the webinars broke down how to make a really good hook, didn't they?
Yeah.
Something about inspiration, education, and motivation.
Yeah, a good hook needs to hit all three.
Okay, break that down for me.
It needs to inspire people, show them what's possible. Then it needs to teach them something new, give them a new perspective. And finally, it needs to motivate them to actually take action.
So it's not just about throwing any old freebie out there.
Nope, you have to be strategic. It's like we were talking about before with those core desires. You have to understand what your audience really wants.
Their pain points, what they struggle with.
Exactly, and what they're dreaming of achieving.
So it's about aligning your hook with their deeper motivations.
Yeah, it's not just a free thing. It's something that really speaks to them.
Okay, so we have our hooks. We have targeted traffic coming in. What's next? The webinars call them power tips, right?
Right. Power tips.
Yeah.
These are the things that can really take your list building to the next level. First up, split testing.
Split testing. It seems so simple, but the webinars made it sound really powerful.
Yeah, it's about trying different things to see what your audience really responds to.
Okay, give me an example.
Like, you could write 2 different subject lines for an email, and send each one to half your list and see which one gets more people to open it.
So it's like a science experiment.
Yeah.
I've tried split testing before, but the webinars went deeper. They talked about testing different email layouts where you put images, even the color of buttons.
It's amazing how the little things can make a big difference. And split testing takes the guesswork out of it. You're letting the data tell you what works.
Speaking of data, the webinars talked about how important it is to collect more than just email addresses, like to really personalize your messages.
Right, personalization is key. But you don't want to be creepy about it.
No, of course not.
It's about using what people tell you to make their experience better.
I see. So like asking about their preferences when they sign up, or their goals, or maybe their biggest challenges.
Exactly, and using that information to make your messages more relevant to them.
It's like you're talking directly to them, not just sending out a generic message.
Exactly. It builds trust and connection. And that reminds me of another thing the webinars talked about. Self-liquidating offers, or SLOs.
SLOs. That sounds interesting, but I'm not sure I get it.
Basically, it's a low-cost offer. Something like a paid webinar or a short ebook.
Okay.
It helps you cover your marketing costs and also attracts the people who are really serious.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly. If someone's willing to pay even a little bit, they're showing they're really interested, and they're more likely to be engaged and maybe even become paying customers later on.
It's like a test to see who's really committed.
Right. And even that small investment makes your offer seem more valuable.
Yeah, I definitely value something more if I paid for it. Even just a little bit. It makes it feel more exclusive.
That's the feeling you want to create, like they're part of something special.
Okay, SLOs are a great way to attract good leads. But what about the people who sign up and then disappear? They haven't opened an email in months. What do we do with them?
The webinars talked about that too. It's called list hygiene.
So, like cleaning up your list.
Yeah. Removing those inactive subscribers. I know it feels counterintuitive, like you're shrinking your audience.
It does. But the webinar said it's actually important.
It is. Think of it like pruning a tree. You're getting rid of the dead branches so the healthy ones can grow.
Okay.
Those inactive subscribers hurt your email deliverability. Email providers look at how many people open and click your emails, and if a lot of people aren't engaging, your emails might end up in spam folders.
Even for the people who do want to see them.
Exactly. And plus, you're often paying for those inactive subscribers.
Especially if you're paying based on list size.
Right. So it's like wasting money.
Yeah, I see that.
The webinars recommended cleaning your list every few months, and they told a story about someone who removed over 284,000 inactive subscribers.
Wow, that's a lot. But I guess it worked out for them.
It did. It shows how important it is to be good at attracting new subscribers. If you can do that, you won't be afraid to let go of the ones who aren't engaged.
So it's a cycle. You attract good leads with your hooks, you nurture them with good content, and then you clean up your list to keep it healthy.
It's a process that never really ends. You have to keep working at it, but it's worth it. When you have a truly engaged list, you're building something really valuable for your business.
Okay, so we've talked about the psychology of subscribers, about crafting good hooks, about growing and engaging your list. But the webinars also talked a lot about the right mindset for list building, didn't they?
They did. They talked about a leadership mindset.
What's that?
It's about seeing your list as more than just a bunch of email addresses.
Like they're real people.
Exactly. People you can help and inspire. It's about building relationships, not just transactions.
That makes sense. You have to believe in yourself and what you're offering.
Confidence is important, but not arrogance. It's about being genuine and caring about your audience.
The webinars also talked about energy. Like the energy you bring to your content matters.
That's so true. People can tell when you're faking it, but when you're really passionate, that energy is contagious.
Enthusiasm is contagious, right?
Exactly. And that excitement leads to more engagement and loyalty.
Okay, so mindset, psychology, strategy. Let's get down to brass tacks here. What are some things people can do today to start building a better list?
First thing, know who you're talking to. Who's your ideal subscriber?
Yeah. The webinars called it engineering the right audience.
Exactly. You need to know their core desires, what they struggle with, what they dream of.
So you can create messages that really speak to them.
Right. That's what makes a list so valuable. It's not just about the number of emails. It's about having the right people on your list.
Wow. We covered a lot today. From that whole myth about list size to like the psychology of why people subscribe, crafting good hooks, using those power tips to keep people engaged, and even like how to make more money from your list.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. And what really sticks out to me is Building a great email list isn't about tricks or shortcuts. It's about genuine connection and building something truly valuable for the long haul.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
You know what? It's kind of like building a house. You need a solid foundation, good tools, and a clear vision of what you're creating.
Love that analogy. And just like with a house, there are steps you can take to make sure your list lasts. Remember cleaning your list. It's not just a one-time thing. You gotta keep at it to maintain a healthy, engaged list. It's like gardening. You have to pull out the weeds to let the good stuff grow.
And speaking of growth, I keep thinking about those SLOs we talked about. Such a clever way to bring in some money early on. Attract those serious people and cover some of your costs while you're at it.
It's like those people are raising their hands saying, hey, I'm in. I'm ready to invest in myself and what you're offering. And when people put some money down, even a little, they're way more likely to show up, engage with you, and maybe even become loyal customers later on.
It's not just about making a quick buck, though, right?
Sure.
The webinars made that clear.
Right. It's about building trust, proving your value, and showing you're the real deal.
Yeah, and that helps you stand out, become the go-to expert, and build that awesome community we keep talking about. It's all about relationships, not just transactions. Okay, before we finish up, I want to make sure everyone listening knows what to take away from this. What are the most important things to remember when you're building a list?
The big one, quality over quantity. It's way better to have a smaller list of people who are really into what you do than a huge list of people who don't care. Focus on building that community, not just getting tons of emails.
And don't try to trick people into signing up. It's about understanding what they need and want, creating something that genuinely makes their lives better.
Exactly. Figure out what they really want. How can you help them reach their goals, their dreams?
And don't be afraid to try things out. Test different hooks, different offers. See what your audience likes best, and use that information to make things even better.
Right. And remember those tools we talked about. They can really help. A good landing page, an email service you like, and a system for tracking your results. All that stuff matters.
And maybe most importantly, be yourself. Bring your passion, your enthusiasm. Be real. People can tell, and that's what makes a real connection.
That's a great way to put it. When you're truly excited to help people, it shows, and that's what makes all the difference.
So, to wrap this all up, imagine your business is already successful, a brand people love and trust. How would that change how you build your list? Would you focus more on connecting with people, on giving them incredible value? Would you see them as partners, not just names in a list? Think about those things, and I bet you'll build something amazing.
Those are great questions to consider. Remember, it's a long game. It's about building something meaningful, a community that'll be with you for years to come. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a blast exploring all this with you.